Hello, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining from. Thanks for being here. So welcome to another week of this, just rambling on about whatever. That is just what happens here. So, yeah, if you saw the stream last week, then you know I've been dealing with some very lovely content ID claims that have, spoiler alert, been resolved. So we'll get to some of that. But again, as always, if you do have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat at any point and start with the letter Q in front of it. And that way I can see it better on my screen in front of me here. But yes, thanks everybody for joining. I see a lot of familiar faces and some people who've been here for a while. No champagne to celebrate. I decided not to this time. Maybe we'll see. We'll see. Not today. But I do have coffee here, so I'm on my now. This was a double shot espresso, so Americano. This is not full of espresso. But yeah, I am switching to coffee this morning. Bailey says first time catching it live from the start for a while. Well, thanks for joining. It's super late there, but thanks for joining live. Monetization on. I can see the motivational T-shirt already. That could be a good shirt. So, okay, let's quick recap of what happened. So, or I guess it was 2 weeks ago, on a stream, I as always have been using music from Artlist, which I've been using for a while now, well over a year at this point. And randomly, one of the streams got flagged for a content ID claim, which is the first like precursor to a copyright strike, which is if you get a copyright strike on your channel, that's extremely bad and you lose your live streaming privileges for a while and you have to go through they call it copyright school, which I think is really funny. And so that's like what happens if you don't resolve your content ID claims properly. Before that, there's like a step below that, which is someone who owns the copyright to music or other videos can sort of take claim of the ad revenue from your video without actually penalizing you. So that ends up happening sort of automatically. YouTube is, just always scanning all the videos and comparing them and seeing if someone's copying someone else. And then they also have this music database that they scan against as well. So what happened was one of the songs that I use got claimed by Orchard Music. And I was like, that is incorrect because I got the song from Artlist. And there's other ways where this sort of thing, this can get mistagged or incorrectly matched with a song. This was not an incorrect match. It was the exact song was what I was using, which is what they found. What they actually found, though, was Orchard Music, which is, I don't even know what the proper term for them is, some sort of distributor thing. They don't, yeah, anyway, music rights are very complicated, lots of people involved, but they had published a comedy album from two different comedians, actually. And in that album, after the comedy set, the last track on the album was that song, literally that song from Artlist. They had hopefully properly licensed from Artlist. I don't know if they did or not, but it was that song that I found from Artlist. That was the last song in their album. And then they put it on Apple Music and got pushed out to YouTube Music. And then it got content ID matched with anybody on YouTube who was using that song, which is probably more than just me because it was a song on Artlist. And the first one of these that came in, I sent back a dispute because part of the process is you get a chance to dispute content ID matches in case it's incorrect, like if you do have the rights to the song or if it was just a bad match, which does happen. And I disputed it, and then the next day they came back and rejected the dispute, which is again part of this whole process. And at that point I was like, oh no, like you do not get to reject this dispute because you are wrong. And thankfully, because this is Artlist, they have a whole team of people dedicated to this. They have lawyers, they have this is their job, is music licensing. So I was able to contact them and tell them like, hey, I got this claim. I found what's going on. It's on this comedy album. They should not be claiming my video that uses the music. And the one sort of downside of this whole process is that it is very much tied up in the legal process, and there are lawyers involved, and I don't even know what's happening sort of behind the scenes. So I didn't get a lot of visibility into what was happening. All I saw was content ID claim, reject the dispute. Meanwhile, I'm emailing Artlist, and they're just like, we're working on it. That's all we can really tell you. So yeah, this happened to one of my live streams and 2 live streams that I run for Lily's channel. And I'm assuming other people were getting content ID claims, because at this point they had started flagging older videos, like a year ago stream that I used it on, which is like before that album came out. So how is that even possible? Anyway, I emailed Artlist again and I was like, hey, please tell me what's going on. They're like, yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. Can't really say anything else. And then suddenly last week, magically, I got an email from YouTube saying, hey, the content ID claim was released. So kind of anticlimactic, because I don't actually have any, like, that's all I saw. I don't get to like rub it in their faces that they were wrong. I'm assuming that there was some pretty serious battles going on the legal end behind the scenes here, because I can only imagine what was involved with like this company using the song and then improperly trying to claim copyrights on it, and it's some other company's music, and yeah, it was a mess. Smart Video says, so it was Orchard Music. Yeah, so then I went and I started looking up Orchard Music, and they have a long history of doing this, but worse, of like incorrectly claiming content ID on people's YouTube videos and just not backing down. And I am very, very glad that the song that was matched, that match on the channels that I was running, was from Artlist, because Artlist does have a big team of people who can deal with this stuff. And they were able to push it through and get Orchard to back down. So yeah, thanks Artlist. That made it very easy for me. I didn't have to really do anything. I just told Artlist to go deal with it, and they did. And that is exactly why I don't mind paying for licensing music on YouTube. Yeah. Here's a comment. I have a same issue since I often live stream from sports events with DJ and music on the venue, but I think I found a sort of workaround by adding some of YouTube's own music in the background. This is where it starts getting really messy, because it's less, I guess, straightforward of who's correct in this case. Because like, you technically can't live stream somebody else's music on YouTube if you don't have the rights to it, and just because it's playing in a venue doesn't mean you have the rights to it. So that's, I'm not going to say that is like a correct workaround, but if it works, good for you, I guess. It's annoying with a constant music track in the background, but it's even more annoying having all the tournaments videos being blocked and all the athletes asking me for their own copies. Yeah, that's actually, this is where this stuff gets really, really messy, because it's like, that venue has to have the license to broadcast the music in their own venue. So that, hopefully they're doing that properly, because that's not a guarantee. Like, you have to pay for that license, and there's easy ways to pay not very much for that kind of stuff. But you can't just go play a song on loudspeakers in front of a crowd. That is something that requires a license. And then recording that and rebroadcasting that recording is just a whole nother beast. It would be, yeah, definitely a challenge. Bailey says, yeah, woohoo for Artlist. Definitely a positive for choosing them. I agree. So I'm glad they were just able to make that problem go away for me. Christopher says, this morning I got this notification to respond to a survey for YouTube, and guess what I said about them and content creators? Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, if you do get surveys from YouTube for this stuff, give them feedback, because they do, pay attention to it. I know that there is the whole creators team at YouTube that does care about this stuff. I just think it's a very large scale problem that is a challenge to deal with. And I'm not going to say they're doing the best job ever, but I recognize that it's hard. So, yep. All right. So yeah, that was hopefully this doesn't happen again. I should, you know what I should do is just play that song again during this stream at some point for fun, because I'm kind of curious if they're gonna if they've actually taken it out of the system, or if it's just gonna keep matching and I have to keep disputing it. Yeah. Anyway, so oh, here's a question from Larry from earlier. This is a very good question. If you buy the rights to use the music on YouTube, how do you tell YouTube that you have the rights so they won't flag the video? As far as I can tell, that doesn't exist for most people. I think there might be some tools that you get once you're like at the music label scale, but as far as individual creators go, like I don't have anything in YouTube Studio that I can tell YouTube I have the rights to. The only thing that I can do is if YouTube does find a match and it shows content ID claim on the video, then I can dispute it, which is frankly not a good system. I don't like that it is so heavily skewed towards the music labels, because it turns out it's actually very, very easy to abuse it from that side also. So, I'm sure they have their reasons for doing it and whatever. Like it's a tough problem, I realize, because everyone's trying to take advantage of everything from both sides, and they're just kind of stuck in the middle here. And where's the money? Well, it's from the labels, so they're probably going to favor them. But yeah, it would be nice if like I could, preemptively say, hey, here is this, I have a subscription to Artlist. Here is the license agreement. Here's a song I'm using in this video. Point to it here. And then YouTube would never let a content ID claim be made against it, because they would understand a license. But it's not that simple, because every one of these stock music websites' licenses are extremely different. Like I mentioned last week, one of the reasons I use Artlist is because their license is so permissive. It is essentially, if I download a song from them, I can use that song forever in any video on any platform. So without even an active subscription. So that song that I licensed, which I think I downloaded it originally in December 2020, that means I can use that song forever, even if I cancel my subscription, because I downloaded it when I had an active license. Getting YouTube to understand the difference between that and like Epidemic Sound, where you are only allowed to use songs in new content if you have a current subscription, is a bit of a challenge in terms of like, how does that code represent the contracts, right? So yeah. Pat says, not even tag the song, just confirm you have an agreement with Artlist and go from there. I know, yeah, that would be like the first sort of easier step of just like tell YouTube that I have a subscription to some sort of platform, and then maybe that would like at least make it so that I get some extra benefit of the doubt when these content ID claims come in. Bailey says, YouTube has gotten much better with copyright in the past few years, but there's so many different aspects of copyright. It's just a complex system because of the seriousness of music and video copyright. It's true. Yeah, and like I was explaining last week, there's the whole difference between the sort of underlying idea of a song versus a particular performance of that song. Those are two different copyrights, and it's possible to own the rights to one and not the other, and be able to license one and not the other. And that's where you get into the whole like cover band issues. And who was it? Was it Taylor Swift re-recording all of her own albums because she didn't own the recording rights, but she did own the underlying songs. So she was able to re-record everything and then get out of her terrible contract for the recordings. Anyway, it's complicated. Martine says, oops, I clicked on the wrong one. Could you use the short test video from last week again to see if it immediately flags the content ID match for the song again? Yeah, I should. Why didn't I grab that file? Where did I put it? I might have to just dig up the song from Artlist. Oh, we should see if it came back from Artlist, because they actually deleted it. They like took it down from their website. And I just realized that I haven't actually checked to see if it's back up. So yeah, let's go take a look at the Artlist website, because Yeah, I'm really curious. Is it back? Nope, it's not back yet. So they're probably still working on it. This is the link to it, and it's just like I've bookmarked it. It's not going to show up in search, but I've bookmarked it, and it's like there's just like a JavaScript error on the page, and that's why it's not loading anything. So the song is still not available for new downloads on Artlist. I'm assuming because they are currently still fighting some sort of battle, which also means I'm assuming the song is, or the track on Apple Music is not taken down yet either, because that's, yeah. Where did I save that link? Last week, I had a link to not the YouTube video, the Apple Music. Oh, why is it opening up the Apple Music app? I don't want you to open up the Apple Music app. I want you to go to the website. So this is the album, and it's this outro track on this album that is that same song. So also strange sort of issue is that like this, it's a 1 minute 9 second track, but the first like 20 seconds or so has applause from the live audience, which they do own the copyright to the applause. So I can't play that on the stream because that would be incorrect use of their copyrighted sound. But I can play the rest of the track on the stream because that's just the song. But yeah, let me see if I can find where I downloaded that song. And then we can just play it in the background here while I'm chatting. Where did I put it? Gosh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to dig that up. I'm gonna have to think about that. Let me take a look at this other chats. Graham says, are there geographical distinctions in music publishing like those in book publishing? If you have a license to play something in the US, can you be sure it's okay for me to listen to it in Scotland? Oh gosh, I hadn't even thought about that. I guess, I don't know what I'm sure for live performance or live broadcast, or what's the word? Live performance. I'm sure that's true, where if I have the license for live performance of a song in the US where I could play it at an event, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't translate over to another country. However, on YouTube, that is a little bit messier. Because yeah, like you can be wherever watching YouTube, but then they also, do geo restrict. They do geo restrict some content on YouTube, but I've never seen anything about that in any of the terms I've been reading from these websites. For content creators, it'd be nice if there was a non-fungible way to convey you have a subscription to a rights clear music library and point to that within YouTube preferences. I am not going to suggest that using a blockchain is a good solution to this. I have a feeling it doesn't actually give you any benefit. I have a feeling it would just be someone's flashy way of attempting to solve the problem. Have you tried to upload the videos from last week to see if the preprocessor flags it? I did it during the stream and it flagged it, and I haven't tried it again today. So let's, I don't know why I can't find the the video file. I think it might be on a different computer, which is a problem of having too many different computers. I didn't used to have this problem because I would only ever use one laptop and then just carry it from place to place. And now that I've got this Mac Mini at the studio, I am suddenly like switching between two different computers now, which is just a challenge. But also I have these USB drives where I end up putting stuff, and then I don't have the USB drives plugged in sometimes. So yeah. Did I put it on the YouTube? Is it still in my YouTube studio? That would be a... No, I deleted it. Oh yeah, that was also something that was interesting is when I uploaded the test, I uploaded like that little video clip in YouTube Studio as a dedicated clip, and then got the content ID claim, but I hadn't published it yet. I just left it as a draft. I didn't even make it private. I just left it as a draft because it'll run the checks on it now. Left it as draft, got the content ID claim, didn't dispute it, deleted the video, and then last week got the email saying the content ID claim on that deleted video had been released, which I find very interesting. So that means that even though I uploaded it, got the content ID claim, deleted it, it still showed up in their dashboard to release the claim, which I'm not sure how I feel about that. Yeah. Okay, I can't find it on that computer either. Oh, good. Lots of good comments coming in. In broadcasting, there are local and worldwide broadcasting rights on the web, a different beast, obviously. Yeah. Olympics licensing, content licensing is fascinating too. Like that is a whole amazing world that is just so many layers deep. I think something like YouTube having a way to authenticate with Artlist, Epidemic, and YouTube see, hey, this guy holds the rights to use a song from the library. It would be cool. That sounds like a lot of work. And again, like I said, the licenses for all these different platforms are very different. So it would really take a dedicated team at YouTube to really like understand the differences. And then that's also like a new barrier of like some other company wants to launch a music licensing company. Well, now you have to have a contact at YouTube in order to get plugged into that system. So it's possible, definitely possible, but I understand that there's a lot going on there. Christopher says different lawyers have been having varying opinions on it because the law still hasn't caught up to the world of internet. I guess that doesn't surprise me. Jamie says a bit late, but happy to be here now. We are still on the first topic. It's true. It was on a drive you had to plug in last week. That does sound familiar. That does sound familiar. I wonder if it's on the drive that I happen to have plugged into my my ATEM Mini right now for the next topic of arguing with the recording settings on the ATEM. It's on the other drive, it looks like. Okay. Sounds like you need an NAS. I know, right? Here's the other problem with an NAS. I don't like how expensive they are. So I do have a NAS, and I do have, I use the NAS for essentially backups and archiving, and that's how I use it. So I have two, I have one on each location, one backs up to the other. So I use one as the sort of first backup. It backs everything up to the other location off site. And it is like 6 spinning metal drives. So it's not a fast thing. It's not fast storage. I can't do any video editing off of it, obviously. And it's also gigabit on the network, but nowhere close to 10 gigabits. Nor is any of my other gear 10 gigabit. And so I can't really use that for editing off of, but I do archive stuff onto it. And I just treat it as like when I'm working on projects, I'll have like a SSD plugged into the ATEM. I record directly onto the ATEM, and then grab that into my computer, edit off of that. I don't even copy the files at that point. Once I'm done with the project, I take the whole folder, which is like 100 gigs at that point, and then dump that whole folder onto the NAS. So that is what I would, it would be great if I had a 10 gigabit NAS with solid state drives in it that I could actually do editing off of it directly. But 2 problems with that. One, it ends up costing like $4,000 or $5,000 by the time you get the right gear and upgrade your network switch and all that stuff. And then that would then, of course, only be usable if I'm at the location that the NAS is at because I'm not going to get 10 gigabits over the internet over a VPN. Anyway, long story short, yes, I should probably do that. I should probably just, eat the cost and do that at some point, but I have not yet felt like I am excited about spending that much money. Eric says, yes, anything to indicate whose services you're subscribing to. It's an active subscription and the track is under the control of that music service. I know, I do feel like there's some sort of like first step they could do, because right now I'm in the situation that I essentially look like, any random channel that's stealing music. It like we're on the same level, right? Like, yeah, so I have more subscribers than like a brand new channel with 2 subscribers or whatever, but that isn't actually an indicator of legitimacy because it's so easy for channels to blow up even if they're not licensing music properly, right? It has nothing to do with the how popular a channel is going to be. So there's no like signal right now that makes me look more legitimate, other than I guess maybe now the signal of having fought a content ID claim and won. That could be an indicator as well. The struggle will be how many and how much in total, kind of like the 20 matrix regret. Oh yeah. If I had known how fast I was going to fill up 20 inputs and outputs, would have at least liked to go up to the 32, if not the 40. So then the question is, if I'm going to spend that much on a NAS, I better make sure it's really future-proofed. Releasing a claim on a delete video is like Facebook never deleting any of your data. It's true. It's true. I've tried to actually delete everything in my Facebook account, and I got very, very close, but there are some things that are just literally stuck. Like, I hit the delete button and Facebook's like, sorry, internal error, can't do it. And then sometimes it said it's deleted and then it pops up again a week later. And there's just some things that just won't go away. They're posts from like 15 years ago, but yeah. Martine says, regarding broadcasting rights, not just music, Chi was blocked from airing abroad because the photographs shown were only cleared for the... Oh my god, photographs in a show? Right. Complicated. Yes. Thought of using OneDrive to sync active files and move things not actively using to local hard drive. That's how I do it right now. My storage situation is extremely complicated. I don't need to use services like OneDrive or Dropbox because I actually do have a file syncing service that does sync files across all my computers. It's called SyncThing. It's open source. Open source. Let me just drop the link in here. Open source file synchronization. So it is like built on the BitTorrent protocol, I believe, but I don't think they ever mention BitTorrent in here because it doesn't really have anything else to do with BitTorrent. But it is a peer-to-peer file sharing, but it's all closed down. It's all like locked down. So basically you get your own little keys and stuff, and then you can choose which machines to sync folders to, but there doesn't have to be a central server. So I'm not buying storage from anybody. And I do have like my sort of main files live in a SyncThing folder. And I have one for my personal files and one for work that gets shared across my work machines. And those are my own little sort of private Dropbox. The problem is, I don't really like to put the active video projects into that because the files are so big. And what I should have done was just put this one export into this folder, because then it would have been on all my machines. But I don't like to put the working files on there because I don't actually have big hard drives in any of my computers. So, which is a different problem. Maybe I should just do that. But I've been enjoying SyncThing a lot. I've been using it for several years now. Eric says, same Facebook experience when I tried to downsize in 2016. Yeah, so I did this whole thing. I actually wrote about it because it was a process. And this was June 2020. Wow, it's been a while already. Here is the link to how to leave Facebook. So I just dropped a link to this blog post in here. And the main point I was making here is that actually deleting your account is not the best plan, because there are some unintended side effects that can happen, especially if you have a large network or any sort of visibility. It's very easy for someone to go and create a placeholder account for you and impersonate you. So my strategy was first download everything just so that I have it, but then basically turn your profile into a stub. Turn it into just a placeholder of you, and with no actual content. So the end result of this is my profile looks like this now, which is just, I have a page, I have a photo, but the only post on there is this post that says, I'm leaving Facebook. Here's all the other places you can find me. And that way, like, I have all the friend connections on there still. If I have to use it for something, which sometimes I do still, like a lot of the private stuff on Facebook is often the only way that stuff really can feasibly work at this point. Private events, the like private Facebook marketplace listings and stuff like that. So I have been using it for a couple of those things, but I don't share anything and I don't ever browse any of it. And if you go look at my Facebook profile, it just says, I'm not on Facebook. Here's all the other places you can find me. People can still tag me and stuff, whatever. Like, you know, that way I still show up in searches and people don't think I'm just disappeared from the whole internet. Christopher says, why don't you also post a how to leave Facebook article on your Facebook page? I did. I linked to it from the Facebook page. I didn't want to reproduce it on Facebook because I don't want to give Facebook any content. But if you do go to my Facebook page, let's see if this is gonna show the disappeared articles. Wow, it's just like it doesn't even like me on Facebook anymore because there's like nothing there. It doesn't know what to do with me. There it is. So here's the actual page. There is the post, and then in here in this post, I left a comment, which was, there's no pinned comments on YouTube apparently, or on Facebook, but I left a comment linking to that article. I was like, here's how you can do that too if you want. Yep. Okay. What's going on in the chat? I see some super chats have come in. Thank you so much. Gerhard says, for solving my problem with recording on the ATEM Mini Pro. Yeah, that was a fun video. We'll talk about that in a second. The video I posted on Friday I was not planning on making that video. Let me just say that. I was working on something else, ran into a bug, I got very frustrated, and I was like, I'm just gonna film this video. And then Pat, thank you for the super chat, for taking us through the journey and explaining how the YouTube copyright process works. I know, it is fascinating. It's a mess. It's complicated, and I realize that it is not all as straightforward as some people might have you believe. And I don't want to just accuse YouTube of doing the wrong thing, because I do realize it's hard, but there's some very clear room for improvements that they could do at the very least. Okay. I might have to go dig up that drive so we can play that song at some point. I can't believe I don't have it on this computer at all now. That's so funny. It's in my Apple Music. Okay. That's great. So let's just making sure it's playing. How do I make Apple only play one song? That's another good question. Anyway, let's talk about the ATEM recording. So the video I posted on Friday, I was working on a video about recording on the ATEM Mini. I was like, okay, should you record on a solid state drive or use an external recorder? And literally midway filming that video, I realized that the quality setting on the ATEM software control was set to blank. And I was like, oh no, I've had this happen before. I have a feeling that I've just ruined all of this recording. And thankfully, I had been recording in ISO mode, so all the ISOs were fine, and I wasn't actually using the super source in that video. But earlier in the day, I had been recording for a different video where I was only recording the program, not ISOs. And I went back and I checked, and sure enough, those videos were trash. And I was like, all right, I'm making a video about this right now, and I'm just going to publish that instead. And I shot that and edited the whole thing in like 2 hours, so that was fun. And it was fun. It was a fun video. Anyway, the problem, which I've been trying to reproduce this morning, ironically, is sometimes this little record setting will blank out. I bet you I can trigger it if I go over to my other computer and change. If I just go change the streaming setting here to something that isn't on this one. Let's see. I might have to. Is it that one? Is it that one? Oh, I'm on the wrong ATEM. This is my actual live. Let me switch over to the test one that I've got connected. ATEM Mini Pro. Don't know what that stream key is. Hope it's not important. That is. Oh, this is fascinating. This stream key that you're seeing on the screen is actually from this laptop. I chose Aaron's streaming bridge on this laptop, and you don't see the platform on this ATEM, but you do see the streaming key. And if I switch it to like, let's just go back to like YouTube. Oh, now it's just totally blank. Can I get it to show? There's another one. Okay, so I've got custom streaming settings for test.arpk.tv on both machines. Those are in both XML files. So when I choose it on the laptop, it updates it on my Mac Mini. And you can see that it matches. And notice that the stream key is blank. If I click the one on my laptop that says Aaron's streaming bridge, which does not exist here. Oh, interesting. There is one called that, but I think it's a different one. On my laptop, it says Aaron's streaming bridge with a stream key. And now the stream key got pushed over there, but the rest of the settings didn't. And that was actually one of the comments that we were trying to figure out, like, what's the actual cause of this bug? Because one of the theories was, well, maybe they intentionally didn't pull the settings in from the other ATEM in order to avoid sharing stream keys across machines, which apparently is not true because I just pushed a stream key from that one to that one. But the rest of the settings didn't come through. So yeah, now I have no quality options set here because the settings are on this laptop, not on that machine. So that's lovely. Yeah, is it a bug or a feature? We don't know. Yeah, I hope you get a chance to discuss the record settings on the ATEM Mini Pro. I had a similar problem to what you discussed in your video. I don't understand why the settings don't live on the ATEM. This is a confusing thing. They do, sort of. So the problem is that only one set of them can live on the ATEM. So when you load in the custom, I guess the problem is there's two different things going on. If you load streaming settings, that loads it into the software control, not the ATEM. So I can have multiple custom stream settings saved on the computer that don't exist in the ATEM. Only one thing exists in the ATEM, which is the active chosen platform. So there's remember the ATEM is not a full computer, so there's limited. Think of it just like there's slots for things. So there's 20 media pool slots, right? And you can't just keep adding infinite images because there's only that many slots. And there's a slot for platform, server, and key and quality. There's not multiple. So that's why you load into the software on the computer because the computer can have infinite memory and then you can push into those slots. It does seem like what they should be doing is actually pushing, making it so that you can save multiple configurations, even let's say just 20, because having 20 is honestly probably more than enough for most people. And then all of those settings will actually live in the ATEM and be pulled into the software control from any software control that looks at it. So reproduce the failure mode, sort of. So when I was setting this up right before the stream, I haven't been able to actually figure out how the because somebody else noticed this on the video, which it hadn't actually occurred to me. If you look at the multi-view of the ISO, notice that the right now it says ISO stop. So down there it says ISO stop, and it's telling you how much recording time it has left. So it's like, what, 16 hours in ISO mode? If I uncheck the ISO button, then there's all of a sudden like 600 hours free because it's recording so much less data. And if I change the streaming quality, now it's at streaming low, so there's a lot of time left. And if I go all the way up to hyperdeck high, there's a lot less time left, right? And then if I click ISO, it changes. It's showing me like how much time is left. What I didn't notice, which somebody else in the comments caught, was when I was showing my multi-view screen, the time remaining was actually all like dashed out. It was just like dash dash. And that when it's in that state is when it records the garbage. And I haven't actually been able to make it do that again. I don't know why. I've got, I'm able to use the laptop to blank out the quality indicator there. And then I've been trying to make it actually go and record in garbage quality. And now I can't do it. And I can't figure out why. I can't figure out what's different. Yeah, super, super weird. One thing I did just think about is it's unlikely. It's very unlikely, but maybe there's a difference between the Extreme and the Pro. Maybe. So I'm looking at where's my, there we go. This is now the live Extreme that's switching the show. I don't stream or record from it. I'm just using the HDMI out for the show. So right now it says, oh, I don't have a drive plugged in. That's not going to work well. But the quality is set to blank. I kind of want to plug in a drive to see if that's the difference. So there's a drive plugged in, and it should pop up here in a second. There it goes, Samsung 2 terabyte. It is different with the Extreme. So if I go choose a platform on the laptop and choose YouTube, and now, where can you see the time remaining? Okay, down in the corner. I'm going to zoom this in so you can see it. Check out down in the corner here how it says 638. That's the time remaining that's showing up on the multi-view. I should show you the multi-view. There. So top left corner. Top left corner says, let's zoom in on this one. Top left corner says stop, and it says 638 hours because I have just chosen streaming high on this without ISO record. And if I change on my laptop to hyperdeck high, it'll drop down to 86 hours. Great. So if I click ISO record, it goes to 7 hours. That makes sense. Notice over here, it's blank. So let me choose one on here. We'll go to streaming bridge. It says 8 hours. The quality over here has blanked out. And if I do it again, let's choose a different one. And then how do I get it to hyphen out? Because I saw the hyphens there. I think I have to do something over here. Like, let's toggle that. Nope, it's still happy with it. Man, I saw the hyphens here a second ago. I can't quite figure out what... I just can't quite figure out what's the cause. Maybe it was plugging the drive in. that caused it. Because I saw right when I plugged the drive in. We're doing live quality control for Blackmagic right here. So if I go back to the ISO that's on the table here, so I don't have to keep getting out of this chair. Here is the ISO, and then if I plug this, let's see, I've got settings on here, so let me make it so I don't have settings on here. We'll choose that one. Great. So I have no quality set on the Pro. However, it still says 0. Let's go show you the multi-view of the Pro. It says 0, but if I plug this in, is it going to do it? Cross your fingers. Ah, darn, it didn't. I'm stumped. Yeah, because when I plugged the drive into the Extreme, it had all dashes. Stumped. So, okay, yeah, let's see the comments here. Yeah, you would think there'd be destination slots. I wonder if it says go to the nth entry for custom streams rather than by name, but like running macro. Oh, that could be. It could be. I haven't dug into that one. Eric says, okay, I got it now. Quality is empty and ISO record status has hyphens, and that's the actual failure. Yeah, it's when the ISO record box says hyphens in the length, that's when it records garbage. And I can't figure out the pattern of what you do first in order to get that to trigger. But anyway, that's not my job. That's Blackmagic's job. I've clearly demonstrated that it's possible that this is to trigger this. Honestly, the thing that blew me away was how many people in the comments said this has happened to them. I was not expecting that. There were so many comments. Yeah. Even right now, Mary says I had the same issue with the ATEM Mini Pro. So many people had the same thing happen. So it's clear that it is not that hard to trigger this error. Yeah, okay. So along these lines, I always worry about somebody on the same LAN at a venue accessing the ATEM. So this is a very good point. And yes, there is somebody else mentioned earlier that why is there no security on these things? Where was that? Oh, here from, oh, yes. Same person. It is not great. So it is not great that there is essentially no security. It's basically open. And it's just a lot of the video gear tends to work that way for whatever reason. I think they just don't expect you to be using it in untrusted networks, which is a very old way of thinking. And I'm really tempted to like start pitching conference talks at some of these broadcasting events to like convince people that this is a real problem. The quick fix, like the immediate fix right now, is if you are ever bringing your gear onto somebody else's location, always bring your own router, because essentially what that does is it means you are building your own little private network. So any router will do as long as it's actually a real router. And I tend to use the little travel routers from GLINet. Doesn't really matter. But the point is, what that lets you do is you take the one wire from the venue, you plug it into your router, and then everything behind the router looks like one device to that network. Like they can't see through it. So you get your own private network. You also get to control the IP addresses of all your devices. So you can set everything up at your office, get the IP addresses set up right, make sure it's all, stable, configured with static IPs, and then take the whole thing, go to a venue, and then none of your IP addresses change because you're bringing your own network with you. And that's a much, much, much better solution than relying on plugging in a network switch into their venue, and then all your devices are just natively on their network. So definitely always bring your own router because yeah, you get to more control over your network addressing. Everything is stable, but then also the security, like it's just your own network. You don't have to worry about people on the other side of it coming in. FYI, the record quality setting randomly going to blank occurred on my ATEM Mini Pro. Yeah, it's happening to everybody. And there's something triggers it. I just can't quite nail it down. But again, that is Blackmagic's QA department's job, not mine. More about the copyright on TV channel says, I cannot count the number of times we've filmed a live gig where we've had full authority from the band or group to film, and then the following posting the piece we have received copyright claims. I know it's because like the whole system is set up to catch the majority of the incorrect use of music on YouTube, which is probably doing the correct thing most of the time, and then you get all these edge cases where it just completely fails, and there's not a good process for dealing with the failures. I keep having to remind the volunteers that stream services to clear the stream key. One of these days, one of the many groups that hire the space will end up on the church's Facebook. That is another really good point. If multiple people, like different groups, are using the same installation of an ATEM, then yeah, make sure you delete the stream key out of there. Otherwise, someone can end up posting to your account. Jim says, my first purchase after starting to watch Aaron about a year and a half ago was a travel router. I know, they're like super great, and they're getting way better in terms of like, there's gigabit ones now. You can do a lot of stuff in them. They have VPN features. It's great. It's wonderful. Cool. Okay. We're going all over the place today. The ongoing copyright fiasco from within the music industry is a total mess. I agree. Okay. So, okay, I do want to mention more. I do want to mention, since we're on a little bit happier note today, I want to mention again the YoloBox stands. And I'm actually going to get a chance to use this cage. I'm going to get a chance to use this like outside of my studio very soon here on an upcoming trip. Very excited about that and looking forward to putting it to a real test and not just my studio tests. But yeah, this is shipping now. We just launched this last week. We have, let me drop a link in the chat since I think I had that set up. Yeah. So brand new thing that we have just shipped. And this is, fits the YoloBox Pro. We don't have one for the original YoloBox, only the Pro, the big one with the three HDMI inputs. This has the 2 aluminum bars on the back for attaching all sorts of stuff. You can attach a handle that it comes with. You can attach other handles. You can attach cheese plates. You can attach monitor mounts or whatever you want to these things. And it's super, super, super strong, which I'm glad to be able to start using more manufacturing processes in order to make this stuff so it's even stronger. And then the default kit comes with the one handle on the top. I don't have the little cable ties or clips connected, but it comes with 2 little things for the back so you can manage your cables. And then you can get 2 handles on the sides as well if you want extra handles. The handles have these little cold shoes on them. Focus. There we go. Little cold shoe mounts on them so you can attach more things like microphones or lights or whatever you want. So I'm looking forward to actually getting to use this outside soon, very soon, coming up. So keep an eye out for a out in the field live stream from me soon. I also want to remind you that we actually are shipping these from several different places around the world. So we have a store, we have DVE Store, which is in the US. They have these in stock right now, and they are located in Washington, just a couple hours north of me. And if you want one from the US, they'll ship it out and it will come very quick. I've always had good experiences buying stuff from DVE Store. Plus, if you are in the UK, there is also a place to get them shipped directly from the UK, which is lovely because that means you avoid the mess that is dealing with EU, UK import taxes, and I don't even know how it works because I don't live there. But now you can get it shipped from the UK, and that's all handled for you, and it just will show up, which is nice. We have it in red and black. You can add on the side handles or the extra cable managers, but it does come with the kit that it ships with is this. So the one handle and the two cable managers. Yeah, so I hope to see some of these photos on Instagram. If you do get one, like, please do tag me on Instagram. If you end up setting up a rig with it and using it out somewhere, I love seeing those photos come in. I just have a search going for PK1 stand is the hashtag that I am following. Let's see if I can pull this up. Yeah. So tag your photo. Either just tag me in the photo, AaronPK_TV, long story, or hashtag PK1 stand, and it'll show up in this feed. And you can see some of the manufacturing process going on here with all these little aluminum bars getting cut. So yeah, I hope. Oh yeah, there's more stores too. I just wanted to point out the two that I didn't mention last week. We have another US store, PepperTech. So two different places. They're somewhere in the, where are they? They're based central somewhere. Now I actually forget the location, but yeah, Central Time. And of course, directly from our manufacturers. These are the two direct manufacturers that are making them and also sell them. So if you aren't in the US or the UK, if you're somewhere in Asia Pacific region, then order from this one and it'll come faster and more direct. Or if you're anywhere in the EU or literally anywhere else, get it from the EU store because they can ship anywhere. It just may not be the cheapest depending on where you are because of taxes and stuff. Yeah, so I'm going on a trip soon for work and not bringing any ATEMs. I just think they take too many wires to set up and I don't want to carry that many wires. So I'm bringing YoloBox, I'm probably bringing the ZV-1 and ZV-E10 cameras. And I think I'm going to do this rig the way I have it in the photo here, although it'll be the ZV-1, maybe ZV-E10, but it'll be up on the top here. And I think that'll be a good setup. I'll probably attach a light panel. Like, I think I'm gonna bring that Falconized panel. It's like large smartphone sized. So, and it's super bright and the battery lasts a long time. So I'll probably have that one on the side. And then the microphone, I'll probably put the microphone on the back. Oh yeah, I forgot to show that on the back of the stand, there's also cold shoes. Like, we just put cold shoes everywhere because why not? So there's cold shoes on the back. I'll probably put the mic receiver on the back, a light attached on the side here, and then the camera, I'll take the top handle off and it'll be just the camera bolted to the bar like in this photo. And don't know what tripod I'm gonna bring yet because I have this really small, lightweight tripod that folds up to like this big, tiny little tube. It's not super heavy, obviously. Or sturdy because it is a very portable, lightweight tripod. I don't think it's actually strong enough to hold the whole rig, so I may have to bring something a little bit bigger. Not thrilled about that. We'll see what I end up with. And then I probably will bring a wireless HDMI also because that way I can have a handheld camera. I wish there was a way to get an iPhone camera into the YoloBox directly with no other gear, because that would be really useful for just a handheld shot of just being able to wave my iPhone around, having it transmit directly into the YoloBox. But we're not quite there yet with their software. I've bugged them about that feature before. That would make it the closest to the Sling Studio that anything else has ever gotten. And the Sling Studio, I still think, was an amazing device. It feels like it's kind of just stalled out. They haven't put out any new hardware. I haven't seen any really changes in the software at all. But one of my favorite features of the Sling Studio was being able to use iPhone cameras just with apps directly to it. And I do miss that. I do miss that a lot on the YoloBox. Eric says, definitely take the Hollyland with you. Yeah, I think I might take the small one with the built-in antennas. 300S. I always forget the model numbers. But the one without the little pokey antennas. Because I'm not planning on doing anything where I need like longer range, and I'm not going to be in a dense environment. So the like at a conference center or something where there's going to be hundreds of phones around, I would want the dedicated antennas because they can fight the interference better. But the probably going to bring just the small one because it packs down smaller and I don't have to worry about the antennas hanging out. Pepper Tech is in Minneapolis. Thank you. Okay, totally forgot about that. Minneapolis is where Pepper Tech is. Is there an NDI client for Android that could sideload into the YoloBox? Probably, but it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. They wouldn't like do anything. So the problem is that the YoloBox software itself needs to support the ability to bring in an external camera feed. It does feel like NDI is like probably the best option for them because the protocol already exists. It is there is a low bandwidth version of it now with NDI 5. And then the compatibility with just all sorts of extra hardware opens up. So if you can add an NDI feed in as one of the inputs in the YoloBox, then you can stream from an iPhone, from an Android, from other broadcast devices, or whatever it is. I would love to see that, but I don't know how possible that is given the hardware or how excited YoloBox is about licensing NDI for their device. What portable router am I going to bring? That's a good question. And what do I recommend for using an ATEM Mini Pro at an event? So I have had good luck with the little GL iNet ones, and there's a whole bunch of them now. The GL iNet routers are, let's see, this is a big one. They have small ones. They have little travel routers. So I have an older one now, which is the Slate. So this is what I have. I think I have two of these actually. And I've been using this one for a while. It works. There is a newer one. I think the barrel is newer. And it's all curved instead of like harsh. I actually think I like the look of the other one better. Whatever. Man, I should not have logged into Facebook on this browser. Okay, get out of there. The one thing to look at for these is whether the Wi-Fi is dual band or single band, because that is different on some of the models, and how many Ethernet ports they have. So depending on what you're trying to do with it, those are going to be the things you want to look for. This one has both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, which is good. That way it's compatible with more devices. It has 3 gigabit ports. One of them is used for the internet connection. Where's the photo? So one is your uplink to the venue internet, and then you get 2 local ports. So one could go to your ATEM, for example. One could go to your laptop, and then those are hardwired in, and then it's also broadcasting a Wi-Fi hotspot. But yeah, if you just look at the comparison chart, you'll see that like, this one's got more RAM, this one's got a faster processor, this one's got, for some reason, 8 gigs of storage. I don't know why I want 8 gigs of storage in that. Some of them are single band, some are dual band. USB 3 versus USB 2 if you plan on plugging a USB modem in, for example. And then I wonder how this one can claim that much faster. I guess it's a faster processor. But 91 megabits via over WireGuard is still great. So yeah. I have the Slate, though, which is definitely on the lower end of the specs here. Some of these do, if they have a USB port, sometimes they will accept a USB modem in case you want and like an LTE connection on them. And they also do have ones that have LTE built in. So they have a whole other set of LTE routers with an LTE modem in it. And again, a lot of these are different in terms of the Wi-Fi bands or a number of Ethernet ports. Do they have their little comparison chart down here? No, they just have 2 of them. Oh, they have a new version of, this is the one I have, which is the original, but then they have a new version of it apparently. So this one has only 2 Ethernet ports. Yeah, which is kind of unfortunate. I like the ones with the 3. That way you get 1 for your uplink, 2 for your local devices. But yeah, like literally any router is fine. I just like those because they're so small and they're USB powered, or some of them have batteries built in too. Ooh, Adorama has put Blackmagic 3G converters on closeout. The ATEM Minis can't benefit from more than 3G, so why would they be discontinuing them? Have you heard anything? I haven't heard anything, but I suspect that the reason they're discontinuing them is because they did just ship the 12G ones that seem to be just a good upgrade for the converters. There is a lot of Blackmagic gear that is not ATEM Minis, so that's probably what's going on. Let's see, Blackmagic still lists them, but they're getting really cheap. And the 12G is the new one, which there's like a feature that these do that is different from these, and I can't remember it now too. I have one of these, but I haven't really actually used it for anything in particular. It's sitting somewhere in the stack of stuff over there. But I suspect it's just because, like, if they really are discontinuing these, which I again don't know for sure, Adorama just might be wanting to get rid of their stock. But it could just be that they were planning on just doing 12G from now on. I did notice that Blackmagic no longer lists the non-3G version. So maybe that's one they're actually discontinuing, because there is a one that just has SDI to HDMI on it without the 3G, which doesn't have full 3G support. And Blackmagic doesn't even list that here anymore. So the 12Gs have a better LUT. Okay. 12G converters have more options. Doug did a video. Awesome. Okay. Let's see if we can dig up that video. It would be a great one to explain that. Here they are. For you, as well as... Don't want to play his copyrighted video on my stream. This is his video, bidirectional 12G. Oh, it's the bidirectional, has a secret feature. So I will just link to his video and you can watch that. Where is the title of that? YoloBox question. Is it possible to get a program out of the YoloBox to use it in a laptop like a webcam? So they did ship the USB webcam feature, but it's not quite complete yet. And the USB webcam out doesn't do, what was it? Doesn't do audio yet, which seems like maybe it's just not complete yet. It doesn't seem like I would not have shipped that without audio. 2, for some reason, it doesn't show the background image in your mix if you're using background images, which again seems like a weird limitation, but that is just the current state of it. I'm hoping they fix it soon because it seems like it's not super useful without the audio output. The HDMI out port is normal. It is the program mix now. They fixed that a long time ago, and that one you could run into a different capture card to bring into your laptop if you wanted to. But yeah, I don't think the USB webcam feature is finished yet on the YoloBox. Ben says 12G has 33-point LUT instead of 17. Cool. And 12G can downscale to 1080. Right. That was the secret feature. That blows my mind because it's not called a scaler, but it can downscale to 1080, which is very, very useful. And I'm actually really curious to try something, which is, let's say I wanted my monitor, like literally my monitor in front of me, to be 4K computer monitor, so I can see high resolution stuff when I'm using it as a computer monitor. I then obviously can't feed it into the ATEM because the ATEM Mini Pro won't downscale 4K. So what I want to try is if this box can downscale to 1080, but then pass through on the HDMI the 4K. That way I could downscale it for the stream, but see a high-res version. That would be fantastic. I haven't tried it yet. So I'm going to do that. I should probably just do that so I stop saying I'm going to keep trying it. But I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't work because it's not even listed as a feature on the converter. Yeah. Pat says, I would use YoloBox Pro in some scenarios if they add companion support, like the ability to push descriptions and stream keys. I agree. I think everybody who would use this should go right to them or tweet them or whatever and tell them that you want support for companion, because I think it would be a very easy win for them and not actually that complicated to add support for. I don't even think they need to add companion support directly. They just need OSC support. That way other people can write the companion integrations. If there was an OSC action for everything that the YoloBox could do in terms of cutting cameras, setting values, that means anybody could just go and write whatever custom buttons they want on their companion interface to do anything. I would be so excited if that was possible. So if you also are excited about that, please do write to them, because they do honestly listen to feedback from customers. Pat says, that's it. I couldn't remember the other feature. I just bought a bunch of the 12G for a new extreme ISO setup. Awesome. Here's a question. I have a HyperDeck connected to the ATEM TV Studio to play back and record the program. If a video file is not selected and you cut to the HyperDeck, it squeals with feedback from the program. Thoughts to prevent? So it sounds like you have a feedback loop and you need to eliminate that feedback loop. So the problem with the HyperDeck is, it's not a problem. It's just the way it works is it can be in either record mode or playback mode. In record mode, the output of the HyperDeck will mirror the input, which is good because it means you can chain things together or record on your way to looking at it on a monitor or something like that, or onto a streaming encoder or whatever it is. And the only reason that would be a problem is if you are also using the same HyperDeck to play back sometimes. So like if you're using it for like replay, right, where you sometimes feed it back into the ATEM to play back recordings that you just made out of the program. And the feedback problem is if you are in record mode and then you also cut to the input the HyperDeck is on, you are sending the program out to the HyperDeck back into the ATEM and you've created a feedback loop. So don't do that, I guess, is the only answer, really. Like, don't cut to the HyperDeck input on the ATEM if your HyperDeck is in the middle of recording, because then you aren't recording anything, you're just creating a feedback loop. I don't know about like creating safeties to prevent yourself from doing that. I would certainly nothing you can do on the interface of the ATEM itself, but you might be able to do some clever stuff in Companion to prevent that from letting you switch to that input if the HyperDeck's in playback or in record mode. But yeah, that is definitely a problem of like, if you have created that loop, you have to then not switch into creating the loop. I do the same thing here in the studio because I have like, I'll use a HyperDeck for playing back clips, but then sometimes the HyperDeck is, I want to record the program on the HyperDeck. So like when I was recording the video the video on Friday about recording with an external recorder, very meta, that one, the external recorder I was using was the HyperDeck, which I then switched into record mode, and I just made sure to disconnect it from the ATEM so I wasn't, or never switch that input so I was never creating a feedback loop. It's all about knowing your signal path and not getting yourself into those situations. Speaking of Companion, anybody know when the new official version is going to drop? I just saw that they were working on some of the last packaging in the last what was it? They have a Slack where they're going through all their like release planning stuff. So it's very soon. I think it was the release candidate just shipped. So yeah, it was Wednesday. Release candidate for version 2.2.0, which has been in the works for I don't even know. So it is very, very soon going to be an official release. Oh yes, another solution to the HyperDeck problem is to have two of them. Just separate. Use one for record, one for playback. Not practical always, of course, but that is definitely a solution. Can I use Companion to select the video first as part of the action? Yeah, so if you want to, like, you can definitely make companion buttons that are going to switch the HyperDeck into playback and record mode. So you could make a button that says, like, if you want to be playing back a recording on the HyperDeck, but you were just using it to record the program, you could make a companion button that does all the actions needed for that. So what would it be? Like, switch HyperDeck into playback mode, wait 2 seconds, go load a certain clip, and then switch your ATEM into program or into the HyperDeck input. That way you don't end up in the wrong order and creating that feedback loop. The release candidate just dropped. Fantastic. Yeah. I'm excited. That's really good because there's going to be a whole bunch of new stuff in there that if you've been installing the betas, haven't been able to use, but haven't been able to use from an actual release download. David says, I see some flickering on your YouTube comment overlay. It's very minor. I need to focus to see it, but it's there. What kind of flickering? I'm curious. I know that like sometimes the animations aren't super smooth because it is coming from a browser, but I don't even see any flickering on it on the screen there. Maybe they should ask Adam to help them out. It must be about the OSC support in the YoloBox. That's a good idea. Yeah. I know Adam's a little bit busy with some other things now, so I don't know how much bandwidth he has for that, but that would be very cool. I do want to see OSC support in the YoloBox. I missed this one earlier from Mary. In my case, the issue was with an isolated ATEM from the network just for recording. I noticed the bad recording and then saw that the settings in the streaming settings was blank. I swear it's been happening to everybody. I had no idea how many people that was happening for. Because I was like, surely this is like, I guess it happened to me a few times, which was annoying, but I didn't expect it to get that many comments from people. So good to know. I'm going to make sure that my contact at Blackmagic sees that video if she has not already and passes it on. Because I think seeing the sheer number of commenters being like, oh my God, that was happened to me too. I've also lost recordings because of this was, yeah. Was the problem. Oh, Greg says, I assumed it's the charcoal sweater and the Luma key. Oh, is it little glitches around the border between the chat and my sweater? Could be. This is probably the worst pattern to wear on a stream because it's got such detail. And it's just messing with the encoder. I would say it's like a line glitch, 1 to 3 pixels tall around the profile picture, but it's not happening every time. Interesting. Yeah, it is it is using a key that is it's doing the alpha channel. So it's got 2 video feeds fed into the switcher. So it's not using a Luma key. It should be doing a proper key, but I don't know what the flickering would be. Oh, hey, Adam is here. Speaking of Adam helping with the YoloBox. Yes, this is a very good point, and I should have mentioned this earlier. So MixEffect will detect when the bitrate is set to 0 and prevent a stream or record from starting until you choose a non-zero bitrate. So where's my MixEffect iPad? When I was testing this right before the show, I was looking at that, and I was looking at let's see if I can get that to focus. So I was looking at MixEffect here, and see how it actually lists. Can I focus that close? It actually lists the bitrate there, the quality, and it says 6 to 9. A lot of fingerprints on that iPad. And I was, again, couldn't figure out how to actually cause it to get into the blank situation. I could get the blank interface on one of my computers, but I couldn't get it to push 0. And I also was not seeing zeros on MixEffect today when I was testing it. So I'm going to have to, I should not be the one doing this. This is Blackmagic's job to fix this, because there is clearly a problem, as demonstrated by me and all the other commenters. But they should figure it out. And in the meantime, Adam has done a very helpful workaround, which is if MixEffect sees a 0 bit rate in there, which is what the ATEM is doing when it's showing the hyphens on the screen, MixEffect won't let it record, which is great. I wonder if creating a record button in Companion that explicitly sets the quality before triggering a record would eliminate the issue. Yes, and here's another good point. You can create a Companion button to force the bitrate to 0 to test the bug. We can do that. We can do that right now. So let's go over to Companion. One other thing I learned today is you can actually put emojis in Companion buttons, which is delightful. They've actually got like black and white pixel art versions of a whole bunch of emojis. So that's fun. But let's go here and make a button for set record quality. And let's see if we can do this. So let's say this is my ATEM. Do I have that connected? It is, I think it's this one. Connecting. Nope. ATEM Mini ISO. That is going to be this one. Save. Okay. ATEM Mini ISO. What is the stream recording, start, stop, switch disk, set file name, stream, start, stop, set service? I don't see a quality chooser. I don't see this. I don't see the setting for it. Interesting. I wonder if mine is maybe out of date. Set service. Let's see if it's in there. No. Service URL key. It doesn't have quality. Interesting. Does Adam know? While I'm waiting for Adam to tell me how to fix this, does the bug only appear when multiple devices access the ATEM? Does it happen when only a single device is talking to the ATEM? So I am not sure. I have only noticed it happen after I switch from using one computer to the other. So like when I go home and I'm, setting up a show remotely, I'm on my laptop and I'm messing with stuff, and then I come here and I use it. That's when I've seen it happen. I've always assumed it only is caused when there's two devices. But in the comments, a bunch of people were saying that it's happened to them and they only have one laptop connected. And I don't know what that would be. I don't know how that would happen. But yeah. Total views on the ATEM blank quality setting bug, 5,700 so far, with a ton of comments chiming in saying they had the same issue. Right? So bizarre. Oh, okay. Adam says it's a MixEffect companion module action, not the native ATEM companion module. So it's a generic OSC, and then multiple arguments, service name, server URL, bitrate 1, bitrate 2. Okay, we can do that. So, and then the other thought to try is creating a macro and calling the macro from companion. Let's try it with MixEffect first. So we have to go and copy that. Do I have this set up for companion automation? That is the other question. Otherwise, I may not be able to do this quickly. Automations, enable OSC. Okay, it is. So I just have to get my IP address right for here. Do I have MixEffect listed? MixEffect Extreme. That one, I'm going to reassign it, and we're going to call it MixEffect ISO 1011.4551 is my iPad. Okay, and then what is the port? That one is on the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, enable OSC server 499990. Yes, okay. That should be set up now. So if I make get rid of that, MixEffect ISO, send message with multiple arguments. We're going to go and set it to that. And then the arguments were service name, server URL, bitrate 1, bitrate 2. So let's see if we can just like service name, blank, server URL, blank. Can I do that? And then 00. Okay. So if let's do this. Let's share my iPad on the stream. That way you can see MixEffect. Go to the output tab. Okay, so we're going to do that. And now you can see MixEffect, which is showing us the current setting, which is 6 megabits to 9 megabits. And if I press that button, set record quality. This problem is there's no feedback when you use companion. Can I do any other? Oh, one more parameter between URL and bitrate. Server name, server URL, key. That makes sense. I forgot the key. So I'm just going to add a stream key in here. And now I've got... No, it's not going. What am I doing wrong? Arguments. Name, RTMP URL, stream key, bitrate, MixEffect streaming service. Do I have to? No, that's the port that's specified there. This is MixEffect ISO, which is MixEffect ISO 1011.4551, which is what it showed me on the iPad, which was automations, enable automations, enable OSC, and IP address. Great, 11.4551. And then we go back into the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, which is the right one. Is it the right one? Yes, it is the right one. Okay. And then here is the OSC server enabled. It looks like I've got it all right. Let's try making a companion button that just does something simple. Set program test, disconnect, MixEffect, and reconnect. Fair. what's the easiest way to do that? Disconnect, reconnect. This is the problem with live demos. Sometimes they just don't work. Okay, now it's connected. Do we have output? Do we have? Ah, there it is. Okay, got it. So now we are blanked out. We have a 0, 0 on MixEffect is actually showing us 0, 0, which means if I show you now the ATEM's multi-view, what happens if I try to record in, wait, first let's go here. Let's go, if I try to record from MixEffect, streaming quality is not set. Select one in the output section before starting the stream. That is the safety that MixEffect built in. Saves me from recording garbage. If I press the record button, oh yeah, this is drive plugin. If I press the record button on the ATEM, it is recording, but the program recording is going to be garbage. Let's turn off ISO recording. And recording garbage. Now I'm fascinated that it actually says 30,000 hours remaining. That is interesting. Let's turn on some audio here, get audio recording. Let's take a look at what this is actually looking like, because I have a feeling it's going to be garbage. But I'm now curious why it's not showing us the hyphens. Oh, maybe if I unplug the drive and plug it back in, now it'll show us the hyphens. I bet that's what it'll happen. Let's try this. Let's unplug the drive. Now it doesn't, it says we can't record anything. That's correct. Plug it in. And it's going to initialize the drive. It still says 30,000 hours. I don't know why it's telling us that. But anyway, what we can do now is take a look at that recording from the FTP server and see what it looks like. So here is the ATEM test 3, the one I just did. Apparently the clock thinks it's in UTC. And let's open that up and see what it looks like. Oh yeah. That is 0 bitrate, sure enough. So no audio. When did I turn the audio on? Looks like I'm about to turn it on. There it is. Audio here. Get audio recording. Let's take a look at what this is actually looking like, because I have a feeling it's going to be garbage. Yeah, that's bad. So, okay, that's good. We were able to at least reproduce it by forcing it to 0. And now I'm still not sure how the 0 is actually set, because I've only been able to blank out the setting in the software control. Yeah, so the key is to use MixEffect to start and stop the records if you want to prevent this problem from occurring. Exactly. So if you are only ever starting and stopping the recording, oh, you have two options. You either use the physical button, the screen iPad button in MixEffect to start recording, because it will tell you no, it's not going to do that. Or in Companion, you make a button which before get rid of that one, which before it starts recording or streaming will tell MixEffect to set the streaming quality. So presumably if this is set to 6 million and 9 million, we'll get a good recording. So at least with that, I could have a button in here, which is like, if I don't care about the RTMP because I'm only using it to record, I could make this be like, I can make this, a profile called record set with no RTMP URL or stream key, but we do set the bit rates. And now if I press that button, let's go back to the iPad. Now when I press that button, set record quality, sure enough, oh, that's interesting. It defaulted to the Facebook one. That's funny because I set it to blank. But the point is that it set the quality properly. So what I should do is I have a page of buttons in my companion, which is for recording. Let's see, it's page 21. This is the screen I use most of the time when I'm recording videos. It has down here is the program, which I honestly don't actually change very often when I'm recording, because I'm mostly just recording ISOs and I edit everything later. Sometimes if I do want the super source in the recording, I'll make that program. That way it records that. These top buttons actually are what is the output 1, HDMI out 1. So if I show you what I'm seeing when I'm recording, I will press, if I want to see like a big version of one of the cameras, I'll be like, oh, there's, I can check focus on that, or I could use my computer on a big screen, right? Or I could show the Apple TV, which is a presentation, or the iPad, whatever. So I have the top row of buttons on here is the output that's on this screen, and the bottom row is the program, which is I usually don't care about when I record, but I sometimes do set it to super source like this so that I record the super source. I've also got a button to mute my mic, which is mainly just so that if I am on this page and I'm not paying attention to the audio meters, I can at least be like, oh, my mic's muted. I'm not going to be recording any audio. Turn it on there. I have a button up here that routes the teleprompter to the Apple TV, which is usually where I load scripts onto. If I'm reading from a script, I'll AirPlay it to the Apple TV. Right now, the teleprompter I'm looking at is the web presenter, so I can see the on-air and the audio meters and see what the stream is looking like. But when I'm recording, I have it usually a script. I have the button down there at the bottom, which is the actual record button, which it also uses the feedback to show me the recording time. So, oh wait, no, it's the, where is it? Here it is. The button text has the record duration in hours, minutes, seconds, so I can see it counting up as I'm recording. So what I'm going to do now to fix this problem, so that hopefully it doesn't happen to me again, is I'm going to move that button onto that page. So let's put it here. Set record quality. And I should probably actually set it to the HyperDeck High, because the only one it affects is the program out recording, and if I'm ever recording SuperSource, I probably want that in the best recording. So let's go back to the ATEM and choose HyperDeck High, and then let's take a look at what the iPad is telling us the bitrate is, since MixEffect actually does show us the actual numbers, and it says 45 million and 70 million. So now I can go back in here and change the 6 million to 45. Do I have enough zero? No. 45 million and 70 million. So that button is now going to save me a lot of pain. One thing that would be nice, which I don't think is possible, is if I could make a companion button show me that number that it's currently set to, because I think I did see a setting in here on the, where was it? It was a setting in MixEffect to enable companion feedback. I'm going to need some help with this one, because what I want is I want MixEffect to push the record bitrate number back into companion so I can show it on a button. I don't know if that's possible, but let's go back to the comments and see what's going on. Eric, thanks for the super chat. It's Blackmagic ATEM Q&A on Aaron's Q&A. Thank you, Aaron and Adam. Yes, thank you, Adam, for that tip. I agree. Indeed, well worth the price if it avoids this bug, because it really can ruin a whole day. You can use Companion to instruct MixEffect to record. Nothing will happen if the bitrate is set to 0, and you won't get an error. That's also a good point. So if you are running MixEffect on like as a server, which I often have it just on this iPad over in the corner for this purpose, although I need to stop flipping it around because every time I flip it around it reconnects whenever the screen orientation changes. I can make a companion button, which instead of telling the ATEM to record, tells MixEffect to record. And then at least if I press that button and I don't see the counter counting up and I don't see the big red record icon on my screen, that would at least trigger like, okay, well, I know I'm not recording. Why? And then I could, hopefully remember that's probably what the problem is. Adam says that's coming in a future version of the MixEffect native module. I can see about adding the bitrate values to the feedback. Awesome. Yeah, I think that'd be great because I would really love to have the on this page just showing me the record quality, just like I would be seeing it on the software, because I don't even see it on the multi-view. It just shows me the time remaining, but at least then I'd be able to see it as one more visual check on my screen here when I go to record. Yes, running MixEffect as a server truly rocks. I know, it does so many cool things. Why not include the setting of the quality in the record button itself? I could definitely combine the two and basically make it so that instead of record has only the toggle action, I could move the quality setting into it. I think the reason I won't do that is because I don't actually always want to record HyperDeck High. So, in fact, I should name this button record HyperDeck High. It's probably a bad name for the button. Record max quality. And because sometimes I actually do just want the lower bitrate recording. That's the same one as like streaming to YouTube. If I'm doing like a 2-hour long presentation and only recording the program out in SuperSource, which I do sometimes, I don't need that in HyperDeck High, honestly, and I would rather save disk space. You can also send your preview Extreme Extra output with SuperSource to the ATEM Pro, record one more ISO. Yeah, I mentioned that in my video I did about recording Zoom meetings. So if you do send your extra HDMI out back into the ATEM, then it records that as an ISO rather than a program, which is really useful if you are if you're actually doing a live switch show that you want to edit later, where you may not want the SuperSource on the program the whole time. Because when I'm doing these kinds of recordings in here where I'm recording my YouTube videos, really what I do is I sit down and I just hit record and I just record all 8 cameras, or 9 if I'm including SuperSource in that, and I do not live switch. So the program is effectively another ISO recording for me since I never change what's on program. Obviously, that's not at all the case if I am actually live switching a show or adding in picture-in-pictures or things like that. And in those cases, if I also then wanted the SuperSource as an actual ISO to be able to edit later, it has to go into one of the 8 inputs. So a quick little loop cable will take care of that. Definitely a good option. I wish they had just included the SuperSource as one of the actual ISO tracks recorded, because that would have made a lot of sense. Okay, we've been going for a while. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad we troubleshooted a little bit, learned a couple of things, learned that MixEffect has a couple of really cool features you can use it for to help solve this problem. My companion is now set up a little better to hopefully avoid this problem in the future, because it is really frustrating having spent a bunch of time recording something just to find out that it is a potato. Hopefully Blackmagic will just solve this on the device itself, because really there's zero reason to record at if the bitrate is 0. Like it should just flash lights or something. Like it should not let you do that. Thank you for the super chat, Keith. I appreciate it. Yeah, all right. We're going to wrap up here. Was there anything else that was on my list? Sometimes I make show note lists, and sometimes I follow them. There was one more thing on my list, because it's been a while since I've mentioned it. My shop.armpk.tv website, where you can find a bunch of my merch as well as used gear. There is a section down here called used gear, and I'm selling stuff that I have bought at some point in the past and just don't find myself using anymore for various reasons, mainly usually because I've just been doing very different kinds of work now. So I've dropped the prices on everything again. So take a look again at the things that are left, and I'm dropping the prices until we hit $1. So if you don't see something here this week that you like the price of, either make me an offer. I might just drop the price for you or give you a coupon code for it, or just keep waiting until it ticks down to 0, because I would like the extra shelf space that this gear is currently taking up. So that's the deal there. And of course, the new YoloBox cage with handles and tripod mounts is shipping now. We are all very excited to have been able to put this together for all of you. And very, very soon here, you are going to see me using this out somewhere in the world for one of these live streams on a Sunday, because I have some work trips coming up and I don't like carrying all the ATEM gear that it takes to make a stream. So we're going to use this and see how it goes. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun adventure. Thanks, Keith. I appreciate it. Okay, that's good. We'll wrap up there. Thank you all for the super chats. Thanks for joining me every Sunday. Hope we can keep this going. Even when my travel is starting to ramp back up again, I'm trying to not travel on Sundays, but every now and then it slips in and I have a Sunday I'm out of town. So when that happens, I am going to be streaming from interesting other devices that I'm not from my studio. So that'll be a fun chance to try that stuff out too. Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining. This was fun. If you have feature requests for YoloBox, please leave them in the comments here or email them to YoloBox. Bug them to get OSC added, because I really want people to be able to automate more stuff on the YoloBox with Companion. Thank you, Thor, for the super chat. Appreciate it very much. Didn't get your name in the credits there, but you will be there next week. I appreciate it. Yeah, smash that like button, subscribe, and I will see you all again next week.